Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked. Today I'm doing a discussion over Aftermath, an adventure book game. Now, typically for a lot of stuff on my channel that has to do with campaign games, I like to do it as a series, but with how many campaign games that I own, I kind of have to pick and choose which ones that I actually want to do. So this one I was doing off camera on my own, and I gotta just say I did not finish this. This game is so unbearably frustrating. Like that I just did not even, like, I bounced off it so hard. And it's actually kind of interesting because I've had this game for a long time, and I mean, who even really cares about this at this point? Because this came around the time, I want to say, when Plaid Hat was under that Asmodee umbrella, when they were just kind of releasing shit. Because nowadays, Plaid Hat Games is kind of back to pre-Asmodee reputation. And because they released this, and they released Stuffed Fables, and then this was like also Mice and Mystics. But what frustrates me the most about this game is they put in it feels like they put in almost no effort to actually teach you how to play this game. This rule book is as bare bones. It feels almost like a player aid, because when you're looking for things to help clarify how you actually do anything, or what happens whenever you leave a location, or when certain situations arise, it's just not there. So whenever you're trying to play a campaign game that you're going to be doing over an extended period of time, you just have to wing it because it's just not clear in any way. And for the most part, you can kind of just make edge case decisions whenever you're going through certain scenarios. But that eventually just ramps up into, well, I'm just going to keep doing whatever I want to because there's no clear indication on anything that I'm supposed to be doing. And it's upsetting because I had heard back when this came out that, this was one of the better ones. But I really don't see it. And it feels, there's been a lot of campaign games that have come out since then. And a lot of them are really good. And I make sure to be very clear on what happens. And then, of course, there's going to be some things that aren't taken into consideration, and you just have to, make a decision then and there. But for the most part, you're able to go through the game and be like, oh, what happens what happens if I'm supposed to attack and, there's an enemy in my way or something, can I shoot over them? And it'll be clear on that. None of that's really here. That rulebook is the most half-baked middle finger rulebook I've come across in a very long time. On top of the fact that to actually play this game, you rely so heavily on RNG of a deck of cards. Like, I despise this core fundamental system because you have action cards, and on your turn you draw 5, and your turn is basically determined by what those cards give you. You want to attack? Well, you need an attack card in your hand. You want to defend? You need defense. You want to, well, you can move through anything, but you want to move efficiently? You need certain colored cards in your hand. I hate that, especially when you're kind of on a timer throughout your missions, and you're trying to do things. Like, a great example is one of the very beginning missions is you're trying to get these snacks from a vending machine. And this is creative because this world is you're playing as these mice or guinea pigs or whatever, so everything is shrunk down. I've always loved that idea. So you're in a vending machine. Okay, that's creative. But every time you pass this certain line, the object you're trying to get moves away from you. And to even continue to go up on that conveyor belt, for example, you need green cards to be able to let you get past green solid lines efficiently. You can get past them using 3 movement points. So if you have 3 cards in your 3 cards in your hand, you could spend all of those to move 1 space. And that would be whatever if every time a black card or a threat card wasn't added to the threat track, you didn't move away. So pretty much that entire mission revolves around you just like, well, I'm not doing anything until I get green cards in my hand to be able to move past this conveyor belt. So you end up just not playing because the RNG just didn't go your way. You want to be able to attack and do a strong attack and get past someone's defense? Well, you better have drawn some red cards or some wilds. You drew all yellows and greens. Well, guess you're not attacking. I fucking hate that. That is such a shit system when you're trying to just play an RPG. Like if you were trying to play any video game that revolved around some random number generator that would let you even successfully attack, you would quit. It's like, well, I would like to attack this enemy in front of me. Nah. It's not even like a chance. On top of that, let's say you do get the cards you need. Let's say you happen to get, a bunch of wilds in your hand. Like, let's say you were trying to defend from an attack and you had, a 3 defense and then you had some wilds. And it's like, okay, cool. Then you roll a die that has negatives on it as well as positives to even modify that number. So you're random on the deck of cards, and then you're random on the die on top of that. That could completely screw your entire action. It's like, why? Why is that even a thought? Did no one go play this game? And well, probably not. They couldn't fucking figure out how because of the rulebook. So then you're like, okay, I just wasted all those cards. I had enough in my hand to save up for because I knew I was probably going to get attacked, and I meticulously didn't do anything on my turn so I could defend, and I got a -2. So, nope, still hit me, and yeah, attacking just deals like a damage to you, but you don't have that much health. It's so frustrating. It takes all the creativity of these levels to... it just throws that out the window because you can't enjoy the whimsy of this game because just the systems are fighting against you the entire time. Yeah, you get items and stuff that add an innate modifier to those stats. Like you have items that can give you defense, or you have characters that have innate defense or innate scavenging or whatever. But that could all still be undone by a die that just keeps rolling negative. And on top of that, it's not like, oh, here we have just this deck of cards that the players share. Within those cards are threat cards. And those cards are, let's see. So, they're these black threat cards. So if you draw 1, 2, you could theoretically, on your turn, draw your 5 cards, and they could all be like this. So on your turn, you actually get 1 card to use. The rest of these go over on this threat track that either will go underneath enemies that are over there, or they will just go over there. And depending on the situation, if it's a safe area, then when there's a certain number there, you have to resolve an effect, which is usually making the area hostile, and now you're going to start getting attacked. If it's already hostile, then all those cards get tucked underneath the enemies, and those numbers on those indicate what those enemies do. But once each enemy has a threat card underneath it, then an enemy gets to go. And then they all go. So when the enemies go is completely random. You can't, predict what they're going to do. I mean, you can predict what they're going to do when you see the card underneath, but in terms of you might have turns where no one draws any threat cards, and then there are some in the deck, and then all of a sudden you just ramp the area, and then the enemies go all at once, and they swarm one person and pretty much knock them out of the game. Or it's gradual. Oh, one person went, they drew their 5, 1 threat. One person went, they drew their 5, 1 threat. And that happens okay, now we all had a turn, and then the enemy goes. I absolutely hate that because it does not feel good to be like, we need to do this objective. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to draw my 5 cards because I don't have any. And cool, I get to do one thing. And if it's one thing and it's not even an action that you're good at, it's like, I guess I'll move one. Oh, wait, I can't because I'm behind a solid colored line, so I can't even move past that. So I guess I'll do nothing and hold on to this. And that happens more often than you think, where you are just kind of not doing anything in an adventure style dungeon crawl, I guess. It's not really a dungeon crawl. This one just really, really fell flat. And because the systems of it were so jank, I started to also hate the writing because I had heard, and this was years ago, I had heard that this was kind of a more like darker theme, and it definitely seems to be, just because, I mean, it seems like nuclear fallout, and that's the humans were just killed that way. Like I said, I did not get super far into the campaign because I absolutely hated every single mission that I was going on. It seems like they wanted it to be kind of like an exploration mission where theoretically, like, hey, you want to get to Pigeonhole, and your movement based off that mission is you can only move on foot, so you have to go to adjacent spots. So you go to that spot, then you go to that page in the book, and you have a random encounter deck that you draw, and the random encounter might just refer to a number on the page, or it might tell you that what enemies are out there and they're hostile. It just doesn't work, I think. It kind of makes the whole experience feel very clunky and half-baked, and it just completely reminds me of what campaign games used to be back in whenever this game came out, which was in 2019. That's disgusting. That was 6 years ago as well. Wow. Yeah, it feels older than that, but I mean, that just goes to show how many campaign games have been out since then and how greatly they've improved since 2019. Because the other thing that's really kind of telling for how underwhelming this overall experience was is because at the back of the rulebook, it's like expanding the game. Plaid Hat Games intends to release expansions for Aftermath. We have 3 kinds of expansions in mind. All of the expansions can be added right into the game, even if you're in the middle of a campaign. Character packs will come with new playable characters. Enemy packs will come with new bosses and enemies that will immediately increase the variety. World expansions will come with a new adventure book and travel map that will allow players to explore whole new regions of the city. They will also include new missions, characters, bosses, enemies, items, and more. None of that came out. This game did not get any expansion content. That could be, I mean, for a variety of reasons. It could be just because Plaid Hat became their own company again, and they immediately moved on to way better games like Forgotten Waters, Freelancers, technically Wandering Galaxy, but I haven't played that one yet. But it's in that same crossword system. Summoner Wars, Ashes, like, they just scrapped this because either the excitement wasn't there or they were forced to make it. This gives me Gen 7 vibes. Like, this gives me, we didn't really want to make a game, but we're forced to. So, I mean, and everything feels like it's here. It's not like it seems half-baked in production quality, but in actual... like whenever you're actually playing the game, because there's a lot of missions here, there's a lot of stuff to read. It seems like there was some actual effort put into it, but just either they were forced to release it, and there's not even, what's super funny, I mean, kind of, sort of, is on the front of the rulebook, it's like, stop, if you would like us to teach you how to play, go to plaidhatgames.com. I did. it's not there. There is no, you go to their games section, Aftermath is not on there. So you can't even really learn how to play this game because they've completely scrapped it. It's insane to see, a game that doesn't rely on like an app or anything where it's oh well, the app's no longer functioning, so we can't really play. It almost feels like this company has completely abandoned this. And I mean, I know Stuffed Fable's got an expansion. Mice and Mystics, I mean, that's way older. Everything during their Asmodee umbrella, it seems like they've completely scrapped. And it makes me, it's so annoying. It's so frustrating to actually try and trudge through this campaign, because they definitely seemed like they wanted to support it, but they clearly didn't. I don't know. The actions, the items, the abilities you get, none of them are really that interesting. You have this campaign dashboard that manages, scrap that you use to repair tools and food that you need to heal yourself. It's like the scavenge action, all the actions you can do, again, just rely so heavily on this deck of cards. If you want to scavenge, you have to hope that you drew yellow cards, otherwise you just can't do it. And then the scavenge isn't even exciting. It's resources that you need. Yeah. I mean, and the miniatures are great. The artwork's great. Yeah. Oh, Comanauts? I think that's another one that was around that same time that I remember trying to play years ago, and just I fell off that one also. So, yeah. There's not really many redeeming things I have for this, especially when I have so many campaign games to play, that I just have no interest in even trying to make it through all the way through this one. It's not worth it. This game could be picked up by Plaid Hat again. They could throw this world into their Crossroads system, and I think they could do an excellent job nowadays. But just around this time, I think that I don't know. This would be so fascinating to understand why they abandoned it, why they didn't want to teach anyone how to play. It's almost like they wanted to just do a big fuck you to Asmodee and cost them money so that they could eventually become their own business again. I don't know. It's super fascinating, but I really got nothing positive for how this overall experience can be. Or it could go your way. You could draw all the cards that you want and get the perfect blend of threat and enemies. But a great example of just not knowing, like whenever I first played this game, you go to your first section, like the very first mission, and it has these numbers on the rule book or on the page, like where you're at. And unless I am completely, like really just completely missing it, there's nothing in this rulebook that actually, there's a place that says never read a numbered entry on the page until instructed to do so, but it doesn't tell you when you're instructed to do so. Like, yeah, there are like eye locations that you can land on, but a lot of them will just be a blurb of what you see, no actual gameplay added to that. And it's not until you look through the encounter deck that encounter card will say, oh, special encounter, read 40-6. And it's like, so that's when we're supposed to read those. Otherwise, you're looking at those and you're like, I don't know what these are. I don't know how we trigger these. And then what's also kind of weird is you can have safe encounters, but there'll be enemies on the board, and you can communicate with them. It's like, oh, cool. Does that take you to like a certain section in the rulebook to have dialogue with these other creatures? No, all it does, it's a check for you to remove them from the board. You communicate with them, and then they leave, and then you add them to like your colony number, and that's it. And then, but if there are enemies on the board, and then it turns hostile, then they attack you. So it's like, why is that even a thing? It would have been much cooler to come across a safe event and be able to communicate with areas or other creatures, and that is like your group coming across a different colony to engage with, perhaps trade. Hey, we have stuff we can trade with, or you're a merchant, you're a shopkeeper. No, none of that. It's just, oh, your communication value is 5. I need to use these cards to try and beat a 5, and then you leave, and we get a 1/2 resource, and that's it. Oh, well, one guy left, and now you're all attacking us. Cool. And if you're being attacked and you just had no, because the way the threat cards work, if they just turn hostile and you had no choice, or no way of knowing they were going to turn hostile, and you had no defense cards in your hand to defend from that, you're just taking damage. There's really nothing else you can do. So, yeah, this one just, it's ass. I wanted to like it, honestly. Like, I wanted to go in and be like, I like this type of stuff, to see, the anthropomorphic animals going through this ruined post-apocalyptic world, and their viewpoint of how things are, or one, like the very opening story is someone telling the story of how humans can be abusive or they can be nice, and it's like, yep, there could be a lot of this in this game, but I don't want to trudge through it. So that's it. That's my thoughts on Aftermath on a scale of 1 to 10. 4. I think it's slightly below average. Production quality is good. Storage solution is surprisingly good. But gameplay, I think, is really, really mediocre, and it's frustrating. And it's definitely telling that it's not on their website in their game section. There's virtually no content or how to play videos, even though they say there's one. And all the expansions they said they were going to release, they didn't. So it seems pretty telling on why this game is in the state it is. But this is past Plaid Hat. Current Plaid Hat is really good at what they do. So I think that they were just one of those companies that was unfortunately affected by Asmodee, but maybe they'll revisit it. Maybe they'll do kind of this theme in their Crossroads game, or who knows? Maybe they'll come back and just restructure it. But as of right now, this is a huge dud. But that's okay, because I have so many other campaign games to play that now I'm free to pick something else. But that's it, everyone. That's my thoughts on Aftermath. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.